stay in your lane. We are not the same. We cannot explain things about to change. Cause we run the game. Cause we run the game.
I'm good, Brandon. How are you? Brandon, sorry to interrupt. They're saying that they can't hear you. Oh, sorry about that.
Alrighty, there we go. Sorry, guys. First off, thank you, Cole, and for the rest of you guys being like, Brandon, we can't hear you. There's always this, whether I've got like 3 audio devices. Thank you guys for letting us know that you can't hear anything and also so early. Basically, what I had said very quickly is we got some house cleaning items. We're super excited for both me and Cole to be here today for our new form event. The event today is really just showcasing with you guys how to create, if you wanted to, an Apple inspired web page. Whether you're doing something for educational purposes, you're just trying to see how one might build this in a no-code platform, how it is built, how you can build something similar, or even just use something similar for a e-commerce or similar project for yourself outside of this event. With that being said, everything that we are doing today, if you guys are watching on YouTube, the template that we're building out and showing you guys the process of how we made this, you guys can download this for yourself if you're on YouTube, and you look in the description box. You guys can download our Wix Studio template. You guys can follow along as we're kind of troubleshooting some of the things that we left untouched to show you guys here today. But for the most part, you guys are going to have a really clean template to play around with. You can add some of your own tweaks to it. But today we're going to show you guys the process of what we put into Figma, how we pulled it out of Figma and into Wix Studio, which is a no-code web building platform or website building platform. And really just kind of show you guys how to troubleshoot some of the things that we're still yet to complete, so you guys can get an understanding how you go from Figma to Wix Studio to troubleshooting, and we can have some Q&A after that as well. On top of that, guys, if you are watching this and you love and have questions that you might not be able to get answered during this event, we have an event today at 1 p.m. EST called Design and Chat in our new form community, where every Wednesday we kind of get just to meet our new community members, hang out, as well as just help you guys solve problems that you might be having, whether it be in your design projects, Wix Studio, what have you. So if you guys want to get a little bit of closer conversation with us, come and meet us after this event in our community Discord at 1 p.m. EST, which is an hour after this event ends. Last thing, if you guys have not already, we have our challenge this month. The theme is 7 Wonders of the World. Essentially, if you guys are not familiar with this and you haven't gotten emails bombarding your email about getting your stuff in before the April 27th, which is the deadline, I highly recommend you do. The prize pool of this is $2,000. We have the top Wix Studio prize winner gets $1,500 and the rest get several hundred. So with that being said, if you guys want to learn more about the challenge, go to the link in the description for newform.community. If you're on YouTube, if you guys are interested in watching this on Instagram, you want to know more, comment challenge. Okay, those are all the house cleaning items. Thank you guys so much for your patience, and let us begin. All right, so to go ahead over to my screen here, we're gonna go ahead and go full screen. And again, if you guys are watching on Instagram, pop over to YouTube by commenting YouTube. So what we want to share with you guys today is we have apple.com here, and we want to show you guys really the process. We're kind of going to get you guys to learn a really awesome skill here. You're going to get two things out of today. One, you're going to get a really dope template to play around with, see how it kind of works within a no-code platform. And two, you're going to see how easy it is to replicate websites that already exist on the web for your personal projects, projects of the future, etc. So we're going to give you some cheat codes, and you're also, for free, going to get a Apple-inspired template. Okay, so really all we focused on today was simply the homepage of Apple. And what I kind of want to do is I am going to go to, I have only my screen shared for my, give me a second. I have my my Figma application open, but I do not have that that screen shared. So I'm gonna have to pull open a Figma piece really quick. So give me some of your patience, guys. But essentially, what I want to, you know, I think there's a simpler way to do this because we're not going to spend too much time in Figma actually. So let's just go ahead and do this. Because what I want to focus on is we're not going to show you step by step of how I pulled this in from Figma to Wix Studio, because it's really self-explanatory. But this this plugin for Figma I want to share with you guys. So we're just going to go ahead and YouTube or Google this really quick. This HTML to design. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not played with this, I highly recommend you do. Basically, this, you import any URL into Figma and it tries to copy it verbatim into your Figma platform. Essentially, what we've done here is we've entered in the apple.com URL into this plugin in Figma. It gave us the whole homepage. And we took that homepage and brought it into Wix Studio, and we're going to show you what the output of that was, and then we're going to troubleshoot it a little bit, and then you guys can also see what the template outcome of that was. So if you guys are interested in downloading the template, as I mentioned before, the link down in the description if you guys here on YouTube, or you can go to newform.community, and we have our components library, and this is what you will see. Basically what the description is, and you can see the demo, watch the tutorial, which is what we're doing right now, and you simply can just drop your email to get the application or the file so you can download this. But what we have as the outcome here is this page here, and this is, we have it responsive to a good degree, and we'll show you guys that in a little bit, but I just want to kind of scroll down the desktop piece here. So we have our menu, we have our first couple sections here. We have the iPhone 16 Pro, iPhone 16 Pro, the Apple or the MacBook Air, and we have our sections down here, and we have a couple things that we need to actually align. But if I can, ladies and gentlemen, I really would like to, you might need to give me a minute or two. So Cole, can you really quickly, whether it's about the community or whatnot, because I think I actually do want to open up the Figma project that we have so we can give some context to people who are seeing this for the first time. Can we go ahead and just pause for me? And I think we have you on mute, buddy. Sorry. I appreciate you muting for the purpose of the echo.
I told myself I wasn't going to forget, and then I forgot.
Okay.
Thanks for the heads up. So yeah, Brandon was telling you a little bit about our challenge. Let me tell you a little bit more. So we have only a couple days left. I think 5 or 6 maybe. Oh no, a little longer actually, right, Brandon? We're going, yeah. So there's, I think, 15, no, not 15, maybe 10 days left. Let's say 10 days. And yeah, so you have 10 days. You can design in any platform that you wish to, Figma, Canva, but we do have a special prize for the people that design in Wix Studio, and a bunch of people in our community are Wix Studio experts. I've talked to many of them and gotten help from several of them as well. And yeah, if you win the top Wix Studio prize, you get $1,500. So pretty substantial amount of money. And like Brandon said, we are doing a 7 Wonders of the World this month. We're not very picky on kind of how you interpret that, but we do have kind of the full prompt on our website, and you can check that out. You can check out the prizes and our leaderboard, the past winners, things like that. Additionally, what is new in our actually, Brendan, yeah, you just let me know when you're good to go.
We're Gucci now. You did it perfectly.
Okay.
Thank you for the stall, man. Really quick, we have Best Writer in the chat asking about WordPress. Cole might have some other thoughts on WordPress, but we really are very much into what is on the cutting edge of today. That's what all our content is. We want to try to get our designs as quickly as possible without any code up on the web living. And so that's kind of what we're talking about today. This is a really quick shortcut. And so now that I have this up, I can walk you guys through A to Z of how we did this. So, and out of curiosity, if you have any, what we're going to be using today, if you're talking about WordPress, we're using Wix Studio as our platform of choice to bring our design from Figma to a real living site. So really quickly, all I have done in here, I haven't designed a single thing in here. And just so you guys can watch this live. So this is the plugin I was talking to, the HTML2 design. Simply all I've done here is I've imported via URL the apple.com website. And simply just so you guys can watch this, it might take a couple seconds extra, but just so you can see the process of what this does and how little we have to do. You know, we've talked a ton in these events that we have to, with AI, with, you know, people finding faster workflows here in the design digital technology space, we really have to get a lot smarter in terms of how we use our time, which means finding tools, resources, people, really doesn't matter, to help not only sharpen what it is that we do skill wise, but just speeding up the process. So really quickly, if we look at this, I was just running my mouth, but in utter seconds, we have a spit out of a one-to-one of the Apple website here. I'm just going to go ahead and delete sort of this, this group that we have going on here. So I'm just left with what we have here. I've literally done the same thing over here. I've designed nothing, and it's a one-to-one of the Apple desktop homepage. And if you've watched our events enough, whether it's Cole's Figma to Wix Studio, or if you've watched any sort of our Wix Studio or no-code platforms, we are very big on getting our designs from a Figma file to a real-life thing. You know, as designers and as tools come our way, we're able to own more of the building process. We no longer really have to partner with devs. Sure, we can, but we got this vibe coding era coming out, and we kind of want to get on that level to be able to understand and be able to develop and build at all parts of really just as much as we can, because the technology nowadays allows us. So now that we have this, essentially the next step that we did is another plugin. We go to plugin, and now we're going to use the Figma to Wix Studio plugin. And this is really simple. I'm not going to go too hardcore into this. Again, if you guys have been here for our events in the past, you kind of know how this plugin works. But essentially, it just takes whatever artboard, whatever you've selected in Figma, and pulls it into Wix Studio. So essentially, I went through this entire process. I copied the URL from Figma to, if we go into this process here, we go to tools, import from Figma, and essentially it will just upload your entire page. I'll do it so you guys can see. It does take a while, but we're not going to sit there and wait for it to load. So just so you guys can see very quickly, I'm going to create a new site, and we'll just blank from canvas. And again, this is Wix Studio for you guys watching. And I know that I'm throwing a lot. I'm trying to give context because this might be the first time you guys are stumbling upon this. If you're watching this on YouTube, this might be something you're familiar with, but I'm trying to give context to those who've never seen this, those who've kind of seen this, and those, even though you've been here for a while, you've seen this process. Literally the only thing that you might be able to get out of this today is the template for sure, and showing you guys how we are going to troubleshoot what comes into Wix Studio. So we're going to go ahead and go to our menu here, tools, and we're going to go to import from Figma. And this is where we go to our Figma profile here, or our Figma platform. We're going to go to share, get our URL, pop this into Wix Studio. We're going to connect it. And as you can see, we're importing from Figma. This is going to take some time. Really what this is doing is pulling the colors, the typography, the artboard. And one big thing, again, like I said, we're not going to spend too much time here, but as you guys can see, you can start to see the fonts, the, what the page looks like. The only thing that we would need to do and change before we hit add to site is we need to make sure the Figma reference width is 1920. We need to change that here. We'll hit apply, and then we can add to site. Again, what you guys will see is kind of how it comes in. I'll show you guys the main things that we've troubleshooted and had to shift around to get what we have today in the template for you. And that way, you guys, when you open up the template, you guys are gonna have a template that's about 80%, maybe 90. There's depending on how you want to use it. And today we're going to show you guys the last couple troubleshooting pieces that you can, so that you can understand how to further push the template to a lot cleaner, refiner template for whatever it is that you're looking to do. We just did the basics so that we can get to showing you guys the process, how well and smooth it is to get, if you really like a site, how to pull it into Figma, drop it into Wix Studio, make a couple changes, maybe make a template out of it, or use that as a kind of creative guide or a baseline for what it is that you want to produce for your own project, client project, etc. But as we're waiting here, you guys can kind of see in the background, it's a little grayed out, but you start to see some of the text. The iPhone 16 Pro, built for Apple Intelligence. But while we're letting this load, let's just kind of look at what we have built so far. And hopefully, this whole process might slow down my other screen, so we might just close it, but we'll see if we can work through it.
It's also worth mentioning that the reason it's taking so long is because, well, first of all, it's a pretty big page, and second of all, there's a lot of really high def images on there. If you have a smaller page or something, then typically it'll come in a lot faster.
Correct. So it looks like this is taking up a lot of energy, so we might just close. We might end up closing this because it will take a good minute or two.
While it's loading, though, Maeve has a good question. She asks if you're importing with a page or a section.
That's a great question. So I actually imported a section. So if we look to, or excuse me, not a section, a whole page. If we can go back to tools, import from Figma. Maybe it already. Here we go. So if we look at this, add frame as. So if you guys are wondering what Maeve is asking, she's asking if we're bringing in a whole section, if we're bringing a container, or we're bringing in a whole page. I'm electing to bring in a whole page because this whole thing here is a page. You know, if I wanted to bring in a section specifically, I might just take this piece here. Let's just isolate this really quick. So this is a section, or at least as itemized by the HTML to design plugin. This whole thing is seen as a section. If I wanted less, I could probably delete these other pieces and just include this piece. So for example, let's just pretend, and hopefully there's no responsive stuff on this. Okay, cool. I would, for example, this is a page, this is a section. If I wanted to bring in a section specifically to from Figma to Wix Studio, this would be a section. This entire thing, many sections, equaling up to a page. So good question, Maeve. So short answer, page. If I wanted to pick a smaller section or a smaller piece of that page to upload, we would be using a section. Okay, and let me see. All right, so this is what is uploaded, and many of you guys might be like, whew, that looks, you know, not looking great. That's fine, but look at how much of the work is already done for you. A lot of the sections are done. We have the sliders here already. We already have the footer. things like that. So literally our only job here, and all I've done from what we have here to what we have here, is simply aligning text, and that is it. So if we take a look at this, and I've made some of the text bigger, that's all. So if we're talking about improving and speeding up processes, I know there's a lot of people at different levels here where you guys have never heard of this process at all. What I would love for you guys to grasp is kind of the stuff that we'll talk about in the beginning of this, because the concept stays and is able to be applied to literally each and every section of this. So I'm going to show you maybe like 2 or 3 things that we did to troubleshoot and fix and get the content right to get looking like we have over here, but we're not going to do the whole page. Okay. So for those of you who are seeing this for the first time and you're like, oh, it's ugly, it's busted. It's really not. All we've done here is we've decided to change how the type shows up. For example, this should be 1 line. I've literally pulled this to 1 line. I've also selected and stacked content like this. So we have our 2 buttons, and what a stack is basically we want to build a relationship between those 2 assets and make sure that at any time we can push those assets in a horizontal or a vertical relationship. I know I just horizontal or vertical relationship. There we go. So at any time we're able to swap how they're laid out very easily. And now we just build relationships between these pieces of content. And very similar, a lot of people will be like, well, why can't you just, you know, I feel like I'm doing double the work. Not at all. Literally, what is in a Figma file doesn't exist on the web. It's not usable. You can make animations, all that stuff, but it lives as a design file. No one can use it. Being able to upload it into Wix Studio allows you to, and we'll kind of show you if we have a little bit of time here. You can animate it in Wix Studio, but it's a real live site that you can add e-commerce to. You can add a CMS. Like there is no limit to what you can actually produce to your living website, where is a Figma file stays as a Figma file. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to switch this stuff and give them the properties that I want. So I'm going to, instead of the Wix made display bold, we're going to go ahead and set this as regular. And I'm going to make sure that all these are center aligned. I'm going to also stack these as well so we can have a nice relationship between them. And I can dictate what the item spacing and all that is very easily. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and put 10 pixels between them. And I am going to center this here. One thing I'm going to go ahead and do, I know I'm editing this in 1920, but I'm going to put this back to 1440, at least for now. And also one thing I wanted to share with you guys is when you pull over any design piece from Figma to Wix Studio, that Wix Studio plugin really tries its best to make whatever is brought in, even though it's desktop, it tries to make what you bring in responsive. And now what we're looking at here, it's not responsive in the way that we know as designers, but it tried to do some sort of smart responsivity where at least all the content stays within, whether it's on mobile, tablet, or desktop, everything is staying within the confines. Literally our job now is the design is done. Our job now is just to tell Wix Studio and manipulate how the design imported to tell it how we want the design to respond. So for example, if we go to, this is our finished product piece here. And if you guys have downloaded this already, you might already be playing with it, see how it responds. Awesome. And again, if you need to and want to download the template, it's over on YouTube in the description box. It should be the first link. So if we start to look at the tablet version of this, we scroll down, you guys can see that we've made all these things, including the pro galleries here, the galleries down here. We've made them look and respond the way that we want as we move into a lower breakpoint or a tablet breakpoint. Same thing for mobile. We have instead our boxes here instead of what we have in this version if we look at mobile. The Wix Studio plugin tries to be smart and squeeze everything. But our job is to go and be like, hey, we actually want it to look like this, and we've made more spaces in our initial version with all the spacing, the size of the text, so on and so forth. So we're going to show you, as I mentioned, how to do that for a section or two, but it's really simple. So let's go ahead and go to desktop here first. Literally what I've done here, changing the type, the text, the font size, the relationships in terms of stacking, and I'm going to change this other thing here and I'll explain. And if you guys have questions about like why I'm doing the relationships that I am with some of these pieces, feel free to ask as well. But just like what we did here, we're going to do to all the other sections. Really not difficult. Again, first thing, we're going to go to our fonts. We're going to go to regular. Make sure that this is one line. Same thing with our buttons. We're going to click, shift click, stack, and shift click and get the rest of these. Make sure they're center aligned, stack. Make sure that stack is center aligned in that section. And we're just going to do that one more time. We're going to go to here, boom, regular. Make sure it is, or maybe do 2 lines for this one because we have 2 sentences. Center align. Make sure we stack our buttons. Shift and click the other elements here. Make sure that they are aligned center. Stack them. And I'm going to center that stack to this section as well. And last thing, I'm going to go ahead and make this one line. One thing I do want to share with you guys, because on the main website, this is actually a gradient. So I'm going to showcase this to you and how you can do gradient text. It's really simple. All we're going to go ahead and do is go to add elements. We're going to go to text and we are going to go to text mask. I'm going to go ahead and pull this interactive experience out. I'm going to change the text. I'm going to go ahead and copy this built for Apple Intelligence, change the text. I'm going to copy what we have in here, and I'm just going to change the text font to be our Wix text regular, and I might make this bold. We'll just scale this down. Now for the gradient, what you can do, and as we have on the actual template here, let's go ahead, make this desktop. All I've done, when we go to our menu here, you can create a gradient, and I basically just color picked all of the colors from the Apple website. I'm not going to do that right now at this very moment, but I want you guys to get the concept, and maybe it's not really that big of a deal. I'll just get all the hex codes just so you guys can see it, and that will be like the final bit. So we have this piece here. I've copied the hex code. I'm just going to go ahead and add those numbers in. So we have our blue. I'm going to go ahead and pull our orange next. It's always funny how I'm like, oh, we're not going to do that. And I'm like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it anyway. All right. Because sometimes I think, we can skip that, but a lot of the times it is really important to see, all of the steps so you are not lost. But I would love to know in the chat, like, have you used the Figma to Wix Studio plugin? Do you know about the Wix Studio plugin? Is this the first time you're hearing it? And if not the Wix Studio plugin or Figma to Wix Studio plugin, have you heard of the HTML? I want oatmeal. That's why I was about to say that. HTML to design plugin. Have you used that in Figma? I would really love to know in the chat if you guys have used that as well. And I'm going to add one more color to this. And there we go. So we have our, and I'm going to change the linearness of this about 90 degrees. And if you want, you can play with the gradient a little bit more, but we're just going to leave it like this. And out of curiosity, I wonder what kind of... Ah, we have it at 167. We'll actually do this. And I'm sure the colors are probably not in the... We'll just drop it there. Boom. And you guys can play around with the colors as you wish. But we're going to go ahead and leave this here. And all we need to do is just delete that, move this into place, and you guys can play with the gradient yourself. We're just going to go ahead and center it. We have Dara Design. Yes, I've used the HTML to design many times. It works well. That's actually awesome. What if I were to ask, what have you used it for? You know, just out of curiosity, what have you used it for? Have you used it for projects? Have you used it to, like, you know, kind of start a Figma design? Have you used it to pull in some of the things that you're pulling into Figma into a real site? I would love to know a little bit more of how you're sort of using that. And I'm sure the rest of us would as well. So it's been not long. Really, the only reason this is taking so long is because I'm talking about oatmeal. I'm misclicking. I'm showing you guys how to do gradients, but this is actually really simple. We have 1 section, 2 section, 3 sections done for desktop, as well as a little gradient. And we only have really these 6 sections left to go, which again, super simple because the concepts are the same. We have 2 lines here. I'm just going to do 2 of these. Regular, we have 2 lines. Select, shift, select. Actually, let's make our stack here for the buttons first. Stack, select, select, stack. Let's go ahead and find the item spacing. We'll do 10 pixels between all the items. And again, as a designer, this is no different than Figma. You are able to drag the size of your buttons if you want. If the stack stays the same, you can decide what font you want your text. So you get to do all of the adjustments design-wise that you want here as well if there was things in the Figma file that you didn't like. The big thing here, I'm gonna do this last one, stack, pull this out, make this regular, select our buttons, our MacBook Pro, center those, and stack. Cool. And if we wanted to, this is also the built-in Apple Intelligence. I'm going to just delete those instead of remaking them. Copy our gradient text here. I'm going to plop them into these sections here, and I can scale down the text if I wanted to, recenter it. Control D to duplicate it and pull that into our next section here. And just make sure that's centered. Okay. So we have basically our first 3 sections down. We have these 2 sections just to showcase how you would change these bits. For something like this, you would just reset the image size and scale it to how much you want. But really at this point, what you're doing once you pull something in from Figma is rescaling images, resizing text, making sure that the type of font that was imported from Figma is the actual font that you're using, and making sure what you've pulled in desktop wise responds from desktop, tablet, and mobile. And so one of the last things that I really want to stress here, I know I'm throwing a lot at you guys, but if you come to these events or you come to our design and chat or our Wix Studio town halls on Tuesday, again, our design and chat and Wix Studio town halls, they are on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Town halls on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. EST. Design and chat is on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. EST. And after events like this, we try to get you guys to come into the community so we can have a closer chat, a one-to-one or like a smaller group scenario where you can share your screen, be like, I watched this during tutorial. This didn't make sense. I got stuck here. And we can unstick you and kind of walk you through how to get through the challenges that you've been having with what it is that we're trying to share with you knowledge-wise. So let's talk about tablet really quick, okay? I'm only going to focus on maybe this first section here. All right, so here we fixed the sizing. This is very easy to read, so on and so forth. Now when we go to tablet a little bit, we might want a little bit more space, or maybe we want these to be a little bit more legible. So all we're going to go ahead and do is click the text that we want to actually change. And we're going to go ahead and change the font size. Maybe we'll go ahead and do 26 pixels here. Again, we're going to make it one line. We're going to center it. And we're going to make sure that everything is centered in this whole group that we have selected. These text pieces here, or these buttons rather, we're going to make them a little bit larger. We're going to make a height of 44 pixels and a width of 130. The text, we're going to go ahead and go to our text section here. We're going to go to font size. We're going to go ahead and hit 5 or 14. And we're going to do the same thing to our buy button. Height, 44. Width, we're going to do 80. And our text, we are going to go ahead and do 14. Awesome. And lastly, I want to check something here really quick. Okay. Now let me explain what I kind of just did here. So I've changed the text, the sizing, and I might want to change this a little bit. Maybe we'll pop this over to 16. And when you guys are doing this, you guys can decide what text, what have you. Really, all I'm trying to get for you guys to understand here today is that there's a way to take your Figma designs, to bring them into a real life situation. And what I mean, that a real life site, and also how you might troubleshoot and make responsive that thing that you're bringing into Figma to Wix Studio. So today we're not going to get a whole showcase of how I made the whole page responsive. I'm going to show you guys bits and pieces of how we made it responsive, give you guys access to the template so you guys can see how it was made responsive and do some of these little troubleshootings yourself. And then also invite you guys to events where on Tuesday and Wednesday, as you guys play with these things for educational purposes, try out Wix Studio for the first time, trying to bring your design projects to real life as a real site, come and join our community, try some of these templates out, see how they work in your projects, come on Tuesdays and Wednesdays to ask questions, and start to build your skill and competency in bringing your designs to life on the web. So what I want to do here, because we have some off-centeredness and these boxes are a little bit bigger than they should be. So one of the main skills that you'll have to learn for somebody building from Wix Studio, or excuse me, from Figma to Wix Studio, it's a little bit of a mind change. As a designer, we are building relationships in terms of pixels. And some people, more the advanced people in the industry, you're starting to understand how to make something responsive in terms of some of the Figma tools that we have out there where you can make an adaptive sort of artboard. But that doesn't translate well in terms of real percentage, very adaptive viewports. So what we need to do in Wix Studio is help build that responsiveness. So I'll give you an example here. When we are making, let me go ahead and just center all this stuff really quick. Select all of them, center, and when we made these relationships, it's in a stack, and what we have here is sizing. If you guys looked at the panel over here, we see we have our X and Y position values, we have our width and height, and you'll see these pixels but with an asterisk next to it. This is Wix Studio's smart way of trying to allow the designer to work very fluidly and not have to deal with percentage responsiveness. Meaning, and Cole, do you have I bet you have a better way of saying this.
Yeah, we're talking about those starred pixels there.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, Wix's idea behind that was they wanted you to be able to set to first of all use pixels, because typically people are most comfortable with that, and have it look good on every single screen size. So it scales with some formula that they use. However, sometimes it works well, other times it doesn't, right? Any screen size that is desktop, it's pretty good, right? As soon as you start getting into the tablet and definitely on the mobile sizes, it kind of falls apart a little bit, which is why Brandon's having to make some changes here.
Correct. And so as we hover over this, you guys can kind of see like, oh, Well, there's some guesstimative math here. 268 pixels equals 35% of the viewport, basically. So instead of Wix, because as designers, we're nitpicky. We want to know specifically, and we want to dictate specifically where our images show up, where our text shows up. We want to make sure that space is being used properly. So as a beginner, using these pixels isn't wrong. It's actually, you know, I really hope that you guys try this out, and as you get better at the platform, moving more towards a percentage base, which I'll show you guys in a second, which allows us to dictate more specifically and accurately where things show up on the viewport as the viewport gets smaller. So what we're going to do here very quickly, and I might actually showcase to you guys in a different way here. So one of the first things I want to do here is, as we're getting into tablet, I want this section to be a little bit larger, just like we have in our finished product here, where we've made this section a lot larger here. So to do that, we're going to do there's many ways to do it, and no way is wrong. And I'm actually, you know, seeing this again today, I'm like, I bet I could have done it a better way. But because I'm a designer and I'm nitpicky about where I want things, what I'm going to go ahead and do is, the first thing I could try to do is scale the container that all this stuff is in. So I'm going to click at the image, I'm going to click the container, and I could, I believe, let me see if it works out here. Okay, so the way that I did it in the beginning actually works out. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, this is why you don't do new things on the fly, guys. We are going to, and I'm going to try to showcase it in what we did here. If we open up my layers panel here and we look at our section where we have our header and our 3 rows product. The 3 rows product includes the iPhone 16 Pro, this other section about iPhone 16 Pro, and the MacBook Air. What we've done here, if we just look at the layers, we have this container called the 3 row products. And what we've done is we have a layout here. That layout is a 1x3, meaning we have 3 rows. We have 1, 2, and 3 rows that we've made. And within each one of those rows, we have a section. The difference between what we have here and what we have here is Figma, the Figma to Wix Studio platform simply created a container that has 0 layout and put 3 containers on top of one another. Now that's great. It's awesome. Honestly, we could keep this like this. All I would have to do is do the same thing that I've done up here to the rest of these, because it still looks great. But again, I'm nitpicky and I wanted to increase the size of these sections. And we might do just one, but I feel like we might end up complicating some things. But really quick, just so I can get a taste of where you guys are in the chat, and so I know where who we have in the chat, where we're at, and whether to go more basic or advanced, because I'm a little scared of doing advanced and everybody gets lost. Let me just look at chat really quick. We have a question in the chat. How do you take, oh, and I think Cole, you answered this, but how do we take all the images and videos they have, they use though? So I'm not sure about video, Cole. I'm curious about what you think about, or what you know about video. But all these assets that came into the website came from, we didn't have to do anything extra. All these assets that were populated within this Figma file literally came from we go to HTML to design. It all came from here. We just simply put the apple.com. We hit import, and it generated all of the sections, pulled all of the assets. The only thing that I think that did not get generated well are these slideshows, and I think we'll talk about that next, because there are things that you will have to remap. And again, this is how well versed you are in Wix Studio. Again, what was imported into into Wix Studio, we could, if we wanted to, I wouldn't. There's a few things that we could clean up here and then just leave as is. Like for example, we cleaned up this section, this section, this section, in this section. There's a few more that we could do. We don't have time to do all of that here. But for these sections here, these are actually slideshows. What was imported were simply just the images. This is not a functioning slideshow at all. So what we had to do in our finished product here, if we go to desktop, is we deleted, let's go ahead and just preview this really quick. So this is actually a functioning slideshow now. It rotates. We have a hover effect on this. There's a watch now CTA on the bottom row carousel items here on hover. And that is not there on default. So the next thing that I'll showcase to you guys is, and this kind of goes along with the question that you have about images. Let's go to what we imported. So these are the images here. They're not active. They're just hanging out. We have some carousel buttons that are not interactive. So literally what I had to do is I had to take this entire container, deleted it, or excuse me, the entire container that holds the entire section of those images and carousels. Same thing here. We deleted it. And what I did have to do, and as you guys will notice with the imports of your Figma to Wix Studio, is sometimes you will need to reposition the content that it pulls in. For example, in the initial import, the sections that were imported here, there was 2 of them. The first section that was imported was literally the footer, and the other section held all of this content up here, which is a lot. And we'll just call this product section. The main thing that I did when I imported this stuff is just like when you're inheriting somebody else's design file, some of the layers aren't named, some of the content is not bundled together in a logical way. That's kind of what is happening here. You're taking, or basically you're being passed files that somebody else worked with, essentially, which just happens to be a plugin, and you have to organize it in the best way possible. And how we've organized ours, we go to our layers panel here. We've made several sections. We have our section of the first 3 products here. We have our section of 6 products here. And then we have our slider section and slider 2 section, and then the footer. So what I highly recommend as you do this, again, this is not a full-scale tutorial, and I apologize, we're still trying to figure out what is the best way to do this. I didn't think for this one, because there's so much in it, the best thing to do is just showcase to you guys what we made, give it to you guys for free, have you guys play with it, kind of get a little feel of tinkering the template to what it is that you want to use it for, and then also joining our events to kind of see what more or what else you're missing out in terms of education and understanding how to manipulate Figma files imported into Wix Studio to make real sites. So really what I did was I pulled out these 3 images here, made them their own section. I pulled out these next 6 pieces of content, made their own section. This next piece here, I deleted all this empty space that we have. I'm going to delete this as well, because that's extra container. And there will be sometimes extra containers, extra assets that you kind of just got to do a cleanup routine after importing things from Figma into Wix Studio. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this whole section up to right about the end of where these cards are. And I'm going to do the same for this, because we don't need all that extra white space. Cool. And so in between this, I'm going to add a new section that we're going to call our slideshow 1. And all we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to do this twice, is we're going to go ahead and let's go to media, and let's do Pro Gallery. And we're just going to go ahead and throw our Pro Gallery into this section here. I'm trying to read what you guys. We got Tudor in the chat. I'm trying to figure out what you guys are saying. Please heart. I don't know what that is. We'll figure that out later, Tudor. But continuing, I'm just trying to recognize you. But what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna go to settings here. We have a mosaic set up here. We don't want that. We simply want a very basic slideshow. We're gonna go to settings, design, and actually we're gonna go to layout first, and we're simply just gonna pick our slider here and go to customize layout. And I believe we're gonna go to fit for the content. We're gonna loop our images, slide automatically. Want to make sure this is continuous sliding with a speed of 50, and spacing we can leave, we'll do 11. Cool. Because that, I believe, is one of the spacing numbers on Apple, or at least that's what we used for our bit. So what I'm going to do really quick is I'm going to manage the media. I'm going to delete all of this because that is not what we want in our sliders. Or let's go ahead and select all, delete, add media, images. And we're going to go to our site files, which all of this is already uploaded because of the Figma to Wix Studio plugin. And we're just going to go ahead and select all these, control, select all these movies and shows, go to Gorge, Severance, Surface, Past Season, or Season Pass, Dope Thief, and believe that's it. Go ahead and update, hit done. All these images should update. We're going to make the gallery fit the whole section. Actually, we might want to do a little bit more specific. Okay. We might want to get like a third. There we go. I'm going to squeeze this till we get like a nice third image here. Next thing I want to do is I don't want this arrow here, so I'm going to go back to settings. We're going to do design, navigation arrows, no navigation arrows, back. And all I'm going to do for this section that has this pro gallery in it, I want to make sure that this pro gallery, we're going to do advanced settings for now, just because I want to be able to see the exact width and height of this. And again, I'm a stickler. I want to be able to choose how this shows up. I'm going to select my section, do the same thing. Advanced settings, the height, I can decide, I can either manually pull it up to the size that I want, or if there's a size, I can type it into, what's it call it? I can type it into this dashboard here. So I'm just going to copy the height of our gallery, type it into our section. And now the section is hugging essentially the pro gallery here. And so let's just go ahead and preview this very quickly so you guys can see how this works out. So now the non-functioning slideshow is actually working. There's some hover effects that we can change. This is just the default one. And simply to get the next one in there, I'm just going to hold this section, Control D. It'll populate right underneath. And very quickly, we're going to go to Manage Media. And this will be the last bit here, guys. Select all, delete, add media, images, and we're just going to get the other images that we were playing with here. So we have one, we have our piece here. I think we'll do Elton John, this other piece. And I think that is it for now. We'll just play with those. Trying to make sure I didn't miss any of those. Okay. So we have these. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the size of this. I'm going to pull these in. There we go. I'm going to do the same thing for the section. I am just going to try to match either visually with my eyes or just take the height of the pro gallery and set that as my section height here. And the last bit I'm going to do is I want some spacing between our first gallery and our second gallery. So I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to put some spacing on top of we go to layers, slideshow. We'll call this slideshow 2. Pro gallery, we're going to add some margin to the top. We'll do about 11 pixels here. And we don't want the sparkly pixels. We don't want this one. I want specifically 11 pixels, not the ones with the star. And this piece down here, I am just going to set this to, this should be 0. I don't think we need this. But there we go. Perfect. Set this to 11 again. Slideshow. And I might need to add 11 to this as well. We'll just set this to auto for now. Cool. A little bit of a math game here. Trying to figure out where this additional space is coming from. But this is the piece with Wix Studio or any responsive game, not responsive game, but anything that you're trying to make responsive. Literally, the task is like a push and pull. This is being a dev, no code dev yourself. The biggest piece is, or the easiest piece is the design, but getting in here, trying to make sure that this actually responds how you want for the web. That's the piece, and you're literally seeing how the sausage is being made. It's not cute. You're gonna have to go back and forth, figure out why some of the math is not adding up. You're gonna have to go back and forth. But that is literally, once you master it, you're gonna be eons, years. I know eons a long time, but years ahead of the other people who are using just and playing within Figma. And other just design tools. Being able to own the whole process of this is amazing. And just to like end here, because I know we're at time, let's just go to the final product here really quick. And I am trying to, hopefully this is, let me see which one this is. I believe this is the final one if I'm not, yes it is. Okay, so let me just go through what we have here. So, and also the last thing that we were messing around with is the menu. That's literally the last thing that we're troubleshooting. But if we go from desktop, this is what we have here. It's pretty clean. As we scale down to in this piece, this is the only other section that we were probably going to, or thinking about deleting. This is the last thing that we're troubleshooting, this bit here. On the template, this will actually be hidden. You guys won't have that. As we work throughout today, this section will actually be updated, so you won't be seeing what you're seeing here live. But every other section here is very clean. Menu's fine. Our first 3 sections perfect. We will also update this since we worked on it here. But I wanted to just show you guys, this was maybe about 2 or 3 hours of work, just pulling this and making sure that this was responsive. Wasn't really difficult. There's a couple other things here that we could totally tighten up in terms of size of text and whatnot, but these are perfect for you guys to at least get a nice head start, change things nitpicky wise as designers, but this is a good layer for you guys to start upon and at least get to see how one might get here in a very short time. We've only been here with you guys an hour. My mouth is super dry, but you guys get to see how quickly we're able to get a really good result with not a lot of time invested. And if you guys just spend 4 or 5 hours, one day, how quickly can you get a nice responsive website from your Figma file, have it be real, attach other things to it, a business on top of it, versus what it is that you've made is just stuck in your Figma file. So with that being said, again, this was a test to kind of just see if and how can we make a template, make it nice for you guys. Again, at the end of the day, if you guys are in the New Farm community, you guys will receive an email of the final 100% complete template. You guys can play with it now. It is linked in the description in YouTube. Again, if you guys are on Instagram and you're curious about getting a taste, a whiff, or you guys want to play with the template, comment YouTube. We'll show you guys the link to our Instagram, or excuse me, our YouTube channel, and you guys can hop to our newest or most recent live channel or live video and be able to download the template link in the description of that video. If you guys are a part of the community, the new forum community already, you guys will get another email of the finished template today, so you guys can play around with it. And also, do not forget about our design and chat today at 1 p.m. EST. We'll be there hanging out, ready for your guys' questions. And on top of that, do not forget about our amazing 7 Wonders of the World challenge, and we will see you guys there. Really big thing that we would love is feedback. Today was a little bit different, or a lot different. This is the first one of its kind. It's not so much a tutorial, it's more so of a showcase of what we're doing, what we're building for the community, kind of how we did it. Instead of a full tutorial, it's just little mini tidbits of what it is that we did, and hoping you guys venture out, use the template, try it out, use some of those tidbits that we gave, come back into our community with questions, and we'll help you out. So with that being said, Cole, you have anything else to close out?
No, that was a fantastic tutorial. Thank you for taking us through that. I loved the bottom scrolly slideshows at the bottom. I was really happy to see that you actually implemented that.
Yes, sir. If anything, guys, just check that out, because I feel like the main 3 things here is 1, how to bring your Figma designs into a real live site. 2, how to, when you have images, you have videos that really can't be pulled into Figma, how do you make that interactivity be on your site? It's through pro galleries and or video boxes. And I think that's really it. Just how to move things around through all the different breakpoints, make things responsive. It's really just kind of getting in the software or in this tool, Wix Studio, this platform, and kind of just playing around with responsivity. If you guys are watching this, you're designers, we already know that you're good at design, but how do you take your design skills and actually start to own more of the process of building real life things? So thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the community Discord today. Hopefully, I look forward to it, and I look very forward to your design submissions, my friends. All right, guys, have a great day. See you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.